Today's video is dedicated to the person who feels as though they're asleep behind the wheel. They're walking through life, through experience, and not quite experiencing anything. I hope you understand what I'm saying by that. This is the person who feel as though life is currently happening to them. And if that's you, this video will be addressing emotional regulation and exactly what that looks like and that skill set. And in that, we're going to talk about mindfulness. But before we get there, let's start with a story. There's a man who lives with his partner, and he finds that he is often in this area of rage or anxiety all the time, so much so that they haven't quite expressed love to their partner in a long time. When their partner are out, they're so in their mind about what's happening at work. They're so in their mind about their mind. Their mind is playing and ruminating all these past stories that they had. Their mind is having these arguments with other people for no reason. This person is asleep at the wheel. And I think this is most of us. It's not necessarily a rage that many of us necessarily feels, but it's something where our minds are taking us away from the present moment. And this is part of the problem many of us have. We're approaching life very mechanically. Life is essentially happening to us, and we lack that level of awareness of what's going on. So, what are the implications of this? He's taken over by a spirit of anger, and he takes that anger out on his partner. Or his anxiety, he takes it out on his partner. He recedes from the relationship, he doesn't communicate in any meaningful way, and the partner begins to feel lonely, ostracized. Any kind of emotions that you could possibly think of, this partner is feeling as a result of this person's behavior or lack of what they should be doing, or perhaps they want to be doing themselves. But this man, even though he's aware of what's going on to some degree, even he's beating up himself for the way that he responded or reacted to certain outcomes, right? And the question becomes, why is this happening? And I think primarily what's happening there is so many of us are so whipped up by our emotions that we don't exactly give ourselves enough time to think before we actually act on those emotions. So take anger, for instance. That person was in a state of anger and they acted on that anger instead of having that 1 second thought process that allowed them to choose another path. Or perhaps they didn't act on that anger, but instead of expressing that they were angry, expressing that they were sad, expressing whatever emotions with their partner, they decided to recede and retract it and hold that in which case that person is essentially a ticking time bomb. And many of us, that's how we've been taught to manage our emotions. We just repress it, put it away, and hope it doesn't resurface. But the body doesn't quite work like that. It has a way of bringing up past traumas, past pains, past hurts, and you can feel it literally in your body. The shoulders might hold on to that stress. Your thighs might hold on to that pain. Or you might even find your mind replays that on repeat over and over and over and over again. We're asleep at the wheel. I've found, and again, not by any means a mental health expert. This, of course, is not mental health advice. I have found, though, that raising that level of awareness that you have significantly helps with having that split second decision before you go down either path, right? So as I raise my level of awareness, if I'm experiencing sadness, anxiety, anger, I have a few seconds before actually acting on that emotion. And then in those moments can really think about it and say, wow, what is the healthiest way for me to actually react to this? Or what's the best outcome or most reasonable way for me to act in this moment? And that split second awareness is really what allows us to have those kinds of bonding moments with our partners where we can really get vulnerable, really get down to the depths of what it is that we're feeling, and really invite our partners in. Same with coworkers, right? Okay, so what's the superpower that I'm talking about? Don't call me cheesy or anything. It is meditation. It is having a mindfulness practice, because that teaches the brain and it teaches you how to keep that level of awareness throughout the day. Now, the thing is, it might not be possible to be aware the entirety of the day, right? And of course, I don't want to make the claim that you should be aware of the entirety of the day, but being a little bit more aware allows us to be present and allow us to avoid some of the ways our emotions just whip us up and just take us with it. Here's one, if you don't know any kind of basic meditation practice, you can always start with focusing on the breath. You can have like some kind of seat here that I have back here, kind of make sure your spine is straight, and just focus on the breath. Even counting the breath, right? So I can do something like breathing in, and that's 1, and breathing out, that's 2. And in doing that, what you're doing is you're training your brain to focus on the breath and being present in that moment. Now, the second sort of activity that really helps with this is to start raising awareness around your brain, around your mind. When you are angry, regardless of whatever kind of response you're having, take a look at yourself. Have a moment where you reflect and say, wow, how did I act in that moment? And if you can, even in that moment, start thinking about, what does anger feel like? Where do I feel anger? What do I say when I'm angry? How do I behave when I'm angry? And that level of inquiry starts training you to become aware whenever you're experiencing emotion. And I chose anger as an emotion. It can be literally anything. This can be with anxiety, this can be with sadness, it can be with any emotion, it doesn't matter. Just have that process in place where, 1, you recognize that emotion, 2, you just simply accept that it is, and then run through that sort of investigation of it. Start asking questions about it. And then lastly, just don't attach yourself to it. A healthy level of detachment. Because emotions are a real part of our lives, right? We're going to feel emotions. We can't quite control what it is that we feel. We just feel it. And they're real. Our reactions to it, though, is very much within our power. So, homework for you. If you're interested in this stuff at all, I'm also available to personally help with some of this as well. But homework for you, take 5 minutes a day and just focus on your breath. You can be in a seated position, you can lie down, you can do whatever it is that you like. And then take another 5 minutes a day and just start noticing your thoughts. You can do this as you're walking, you can do this as you're working, and just noticing, what is my mind telling myself? And get into the habit of acknowledging the thought and just telling yourself, I am not my thoughts. We have thousands of thoughts a day. Most of them aren't really important, and most of them have very little to no meaning. So it's getting into the process of acknowledging and realizing and seeing those thoughts. Well, thank you for spending some time with me. I know this was a little longer video. I had anticipated it was going to be slightly 5 minutes or so, but it wasn't. If you're looking for more one-on-one support, whether that's with energy coaching, or you feel like there is a goal right now that you haven't been able to work towards, feel free to hit me up. More than happy to walk you through some of the things that I'm doing and see if I can actually support you in helping you reach your goals this year. Ciao.